Tikoden Brahma Adi Devagani Nara Hari Hari Kori Chamaradulaya
Radha The investigation of auspiciousness. Instead of my pilot, they were hearing and chanting words. No auspicious. So, the way. Oh. Nice. Continue. See where we go on. So the idea is that as we study by every moment, you know, verses, over the course of 3 months, you actually cover the whole book. 11 verses every night takes this time. Respect and versus translation Sanskrit. Going back, the third words, they don't have third words, get first, but they say market, so I talk about the next word. I think originally, is the final abilities. Okay. So, text 30, chapter 10, text 30. So, we'll go through the translation. This is easy. Together as this one. Translation. Among the decades, I'm the Lord God. Amongst the doers, I'm time. Among the beasts, I'm the lion. Among the birds, I'm the feather carrying. Is there more? Of all creations, I am the beginning, middle, and also the I am the beginning, and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science itself. Of all magicians, I am the who the truth. Aksharanam akaros Samaj Asitra of letters, I am the letter A, and among compounds, I am the word. I am also inexhaustible time. The creators, I am the body, whose manifold face is turning everywhere. I am all devouring death. I am the generator of all things yet to be. Among women, I am fame, worship, speech, memory, intelligence, faithfulness, patience. Next. Of things, I'm the rehab sound, song to or intro, and the poetry I'm the guide, some daily albums. Of months, I'm November and December. Of seasons, I'm the flower fingers. You come to church like mom has me. These are these are my I'm also a gambling with cheats. That is that I was. I'm Victor, I'm invention, I'm the strength, strong. There's the second. She how fast when he goes to me. I'm the calm, and I'm the yellow. We got the outside. He knows I'm not. This means a machine on muscle. That the honors I'm not junior. Of the stages I'm young. And lowering fingers. You know, next to me. I'm told that my mom has me. Here has me. Um, Charlie Horse. Lord, I'm this kind of trust. Those who see pictures, I'm around. The secret things of his life. Finds. Start. Find. Erase in all his. There is no being moving or unmoving. It's going. Not those being alive. Down. Being confident about each other. Oh, the cool fair. Oh, my Almighty conqueror of the enemies. There is no enemy who can find what is here. What I have spoken to you with regard to mere vacation. So go back now. Chapter one. I don't know the authors as we see Christians very recently, giving us examples how I wish we could be the same time this and that of these categories of persistence. The objects, these emphasizes straight along that lot, for instance, purifiers on the wind. Motors and weapons and wrong. You are things. She's out of job. All members have guidance. Somebody that's sort of reading someone like this radius. Understanding is second to none. Actually, it's the prime margin. It's the cause of the record. Such an I'm not here audio been done. Sorry, audio. I'm not here audio been done. It's the prime margin of all. So He's not known by material calculation. It's true. Inconceivably, mythically. But there are examples of which easily that will comes to us, just like regulars. Because we know God is great, said that God all major liberties in the world, but how great is He? We didn't know. And as we undergo what He called His supreme science, study, soul, science of soul, meditation. This is an actual experiment. It's more than can be proven. It's practical. The proof of putting is in the eating. By eating the body food, we very well help us. As we undergo chanting with Lord, describe the method of purification of our heart, how to do it, specific problems. As we chant, only in Lord, we find that purification with our hearts, cleansing it, dust. It's like there's a mirror. So you can really see yourself. We can see somewhat of an outline of our image, and we're basing our reality on the past. But as we chant, we're cleansing that mirror, we see what we actually are. We actually are eternal being. As Krishna, Sakshi Ananda, eternal without knowledge of this. Natural, very natural, so are his children, so are we people. Parts and parcels, which can be common. Just like they would drop the ocean, we find chemically the same composition is there as the ocean itself. Same numbers of entities. And like that, we're just looking at a drop of ocean with objects, absolutely. So we share these qualities, now that we're one with them, not leaving. But we also must understand drop of water taken from the ocean is has no comparison to the sun. So qualitatively, we have the same same qualities, same energy is there. But it's limited. It's minute, integral manifestation. Whereas the Lord is infinite, is truly mind. So but the arguments we hear, Lord Himself is ever expanding in His eternal knowledge of us. So there's a nice Bengali verse. Jesus or going Krishna into us. Swayam Shah Kiram Chiha Shur Swabha Nikana Krishna Tina. What is he saying in this? This verse, Bengali verse, spoken from Chaitanya. Third, of our most important books. And the graduate study, be well, hearing, lots of this verse is denoting true future of the soul, the eternal service of God. Krishna and the us. Krishna, Krishna, and get eternal else. Else means serve. That's what this verse is saying. Eternally as we are, we're marginal potency as multifarious energies, powers of life. Mainly we have these energies into three pertaining to spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material. So material energy we would say is in the area. Illusory, marginal potency in the units and parts and parcels from connecting partial manifestations and expansions, limited expansions. And these marginal potencies, this marginal energy, comes under sway brings notice, whether it's material energy or the spiritual energy. Marginal aspect being is that he always is the big shelter of the world. Either he's in contact with the world, or the energy, he's in contact with God. So this is the nature of the soul. It's not that we don't have the ability to, but actually the extent of our free will ends at the choice we make, whether we surrender to God or we don't. There's a nice verse. Parang may pray my money, I will go to salvation. Car, and what this is saying is that the living entity who is bewildered by this material energy, he thinks himself to do his activities, an actuality of carrying out his material. So, because under the illusion that we actually have more choice in the world we do. There are three energies dominating this material nature: Sattva, Kali, and Kama. And if one chooses to turn his head away, then he is finding himself in contact with that material energy, which is characterized by its conditions: birth, use, old age. We come to this book because ultimately we want to enjoy the way to do that without. So that's what brings us here. And as we're here, swimming in this ocean of birth and death, it's called samsara, we are ever influenced for as long as we remain here by these three worlds. Just like the world on the soul, finding knowledge keeps it here. And these worlds of material nature are always finding the dominance over. So the goodness sometimes overtakes ignorance sometimes with goodness. Like this, there's so many things that around us have very little control. So it's about understanding what we can control, what's within our circle of influence, and which we can control, and what's within our circle of concern. So as I mentioned before, the living is the present is free will. Silence chooses to face totally unlimited. This company values practice. This are lost in this material. So long we've been consumed through so many forms of life. Results the soul who at that time still has material desires. Our desires are inextricably paired with what it is we deserve. So that which we desire brings about ultimately the type of body that we deserve in our next life. So many different forms of life that even with its very specific information. And we put our mind to rest, we can't really find else to such a perfect. We hear that there are 8 million forms with thousands of species. All we have to do is hear that and accept it. It's that easy. I mean, in between the hearing that you said, our mountains of faith that wounds cause. However, everybody is that simple. If you look to authority, then you directly from him. So what's missing is to actually understand it is like do the most authoritative texts and actually allow knowledge, material or spiritual. It's that understanding that will help us just try and just try to hear. Then incredible advancement through simulation of this knowledge, practical application that's deep into our lives. So it's, as I was saying, my original point is very spiritual science. I was with every single aspect to reason for the ones that we do. Ask the question. Conscious with humanity. I don't say you know. In the pursuit of actually stepping into conscious understanding they are when brought here and delivering themselves from is forgiven. And one dimensional destination is that lies waiting for Jesus. So what I'm saying is there are three words that characterize this. This pursuit leads to the greatest virtue, which happens inside of us and outside of us. Understanding what the ultimate goal is. So and someone it's called I am. This is the relationship that I have that ultimate goal. In our case, internal as it is spiritual, which is from God, inward communication. And that's some way it's mine. And then there's biological. Biological is the means by which we gain that positive. There's the ultimate goal, is the relationship we have to it, and we demonstrate it. So all of this is very completely linear, just the bottom units. If that was your mouth, you have a whole vast library. Many other examples, such knowledge, the audience on the self, the search, or understand. Of the contents of this very chapter, the audience that are simple. So, it's really impressive. I suppose we can begin to just notion or I want to hear about this for myself. We're on chapter 10, text 3. Questions? Any questions? Answers? This we set up on Zoom and now it's not I should make sure or I should go back to the world materialization. Without that, otherwise those that you got to the time. How's that? That's how I okay, so speaking of what you said regarding the renewable material picture, it's interesting that you know, so we're not the doer anything. It's rather, you know, a coalition of green most material nature has budget. So what I'm trying to say is there's times when our own path we feel like, oh, we just do this, we have slides of way, move this lower that or those would be I told myself I'm the doer. And also the fact that goodness, which seems so pure, simply just not lower to it. And your goal is to transcend beyond that. When one's there, very important. On to have a moment. And he says in the 18th chapter, each shall serve the food of one, very shared and each to the serve the food of one, and throw down my head to that effect. This is essential. And throw down my head, the living is to see it as on the sheet made out of material. This is the Lord who's in the heart. Great to share that. And he's directing wanderings to release this world. It's true, he says that they did come out and find them to comes to my actually, in all respects, one follows my count. So whether it is that we're devoted by this material, it's very using and thinking ourselves capable.
Uh, and incomplete. Hare Krishna. And so we'll mute that maybe. Otherwise, I'll cringe hearing myself speak. Hare Krishna. It's like Krishna says, Mayad yakshena prakriti, suyate sa characharam, etunanena kunteya jagad viparivatate. This material nature is working under my direction, he says, and is producing all moving and unmoving beings, and its creation, by which it's characterized by, is created and annihilated again and again, over and over, in a cyclical fashion. So, and it's a very difficult energy to overcome. It's essentially it's impossible. When you hold it on the bottom there, you're static, even if it's turned off. Yeah, sorry. That's, okay, cool. Has a mind of its own. It'll be turned off, but it's still. Yeah. Yeah. So, as I was saying, this material energy very difficult to cross. This ocean. But one who surrenders to Krishna, right? That's the way across. And it's said that one who surrenders to Lord Krishna, Atma Nivedanam. This is one of the aspects of devotional service by which there are 9 ways to serve the Lord. The last one is Atma Nivedanam, and this is surrendering everything to the Lord. Devotional service is absolute, so we can understand that by any processes of devotional service, one can actually achieve the same end result of minimizing this ocean of the complexities of material energy, by which this ocean shrinks down to pretty much the size of like a puddle. You can just step right over. It was Bilvamangala Thakur, a great saint and sage from India, who said that actually liberation waiting at my door. He was meaning by that statement that though he wasn't desiring of liberation, because the Bhakti Yoga, the one who's fixed in devotion to Lord Krishna, he's actually not desiring of anything material, not even salvation, not even liberation. However, that's granted automatically. That's what he meant by that, is that though I don't even desire it, I simply just desire to see your face, Krishna, to be engaged in your service, Krishna. Still, liberation waits at my door. That's nice. That's a nice sentiment, a nice reality that's there for us if we can just really take to devotional service. So, yeah. You want to say that into the microphone? That's a nice point.
Just basically, all you have to do is follow the path of devotion. There's no reason to request liberation because that'll all come. That's just a branch out of the source of the tree, you know?
This is what makes our philosophy higher than any other philosophy. Hare Krishna. Yeah, let's hear. Maharaj would like to say something. We'll just, 1 second, Maharaj. If we could mute this phone here. We'll turn that, yeah, we'll keep that off.
Okay, Gurudev, we can hear you when you're ready.
Hi, Will, can you hear? You can hear? Okay. The rest of that verse is Mukti Tais Tanjani Tasman Dharmartha Kama Samaya Pratiksha. So the rest of that verse is that Maya, she's standing with folded hands to serve me, but also along with, or Mukti. Mukti is standing there with folded hands, waiting to serve the devotee. But not only that, with her are Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Automatically they come. Dharma means religiosity, Artha means economic development, and Kama means sense gratification. So not only does one get mukti, but they're her servants, mukti's servants. They're coming along with her to serve the devotee. So that means the devotee doesn't have to worry about anything else, just serving Krishna, and his liberation is taken care of, his financial situation, his sense gratification, everything's worked out. Thank you.
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj. In this path of devotional service, there's nothing missing. Not Kama, Artha, Dhamma, or Moksha. So there's another verse I learned today. Krishna Bhakta, Nishkama Atwaiva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakali Ashanta. What this means is actually only for the devotee of the Lord can one attain true peace. It says, because a devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. Fruit of workers desire material enjoyment, jnanis desire liberation, and yogis desire material opulence. Therefore, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. But the devotee of the Lord, he's desireless. He's desireless. Nishkama. That doesn't mean that he's voided himself out to any kind of desire. Actually, it's the soul's very nature to desire. We can't get away from that. But what that means is he's above all material desires. He's simply aligned with the highest pursuit, which is to simply please the Lord by the service which he renders him. And to beg for that service, life after life, birth after birth, to be engaged in his mission of propagating his glories. He's not even afraid to come back to this world if it means that he might be of use to the Lord in his mission. So, if we're looking for peace, which I can guess all of us in this room probably are, otherwise we wouldn't be here, then actually we've already found it. As I recently heard this is the last stop, right? This is the last stop, Bhakti Yoga. For so many lives, we've been spinning around trying to find our bearings, set ourselves straight. And we've been doing this by ourselves through our own types of speculation, our own fruitive activity. And therefore, this fire within us that drives us to extinguish it by its very burning, by the very distress we feel, in other words, we're looking for peace. By the distress we feel, we're looking for our peace. There's a reason why we haven't been satisfied, and it's because all of our pursuits have been aimless. And minus Krishna. So it's said that in life, no matter what you have, no matter what kind of opulence, be it high education or bodily beauty or nice family, all of these things, they're simply zeros. They're zeros. Everything in life is a zero. Nothing actually matters in the grand scheme of things. In reawakening our eternal life, none of it matters. None of it can do that unless we have Krishna. And when we have Krishna, we put a 1 at the beginning of all those zeros. And then all of a sudden, we have meaning, we have life, we have value to give to others. So how many zeros will it take for us to accumulate to understand that actually all of them are useless unless I put that 1 in front of them, right? That's the philosophy. Simply do everything that you're already doing, but do it for Krishna, offer it to Krishna. With no expectation of anything in return. Just come to do what you do out of love for him. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sarikaba Noi, Shravanadi Shudechiti Koreya Udoy. That eternal love for God is already established in the hearts of every living entity. There's nothing outside of ourselves that we need to find or gain or become. Everything's already there within our heart. And it's through the process of hearing and chanting Shravanadi Shure Chitte that our heart, Chitte, our heart is purified as we hear in the association of great souls, as we hear from Hari, Guru, Vaishnav, Bhagavat, and Gita. These are the 5 that we should constantly be fixing our minds back to. Any questions? We can continue. So, Chai. Okay. We will read the purport here to text 30. Well, actually, I heard a nice story about Prahlad recently. Maybe the last few minutes I can give to my purification. I can try my best to relay it. Prahlad Maharaj is a great soul, famous devotee, probably the most famous devotee of the Lord. If we're not familiar with him, he is actually pictured right here in this painting. He's not the one being torn to shreds, but he's the son of the man who's being torn to shreds, actually. So that's Hiranyakashipu. He was a great demon, great demon, born from Diti. And he had a son. His son was Prahlad Maharaj. Now, he was a great demon, Hiranyakashipu, but his son was actually a great devotee of the Lord. A famous devotee for his prayers, for his constant reliance of Lord Vishnu. It's a long, complex story that I don't want to get into, but through so many trials and tribulations, Prahlad, he used all of them actually to just bring him closer to the Lord. As we hear in the first canto purport from Srila Prabhupada, that when a devotee is put into difficulties, that's the time where he's presented with an opportunity to re-seize Krishna. As we're put into difficulty, as we're put into trouble, then we can actually seize the mercy of the Lord. We can see that as the Lord's mercy, and we can actually let that draw us closer to Him. Like Queen Kunti, she prays, Vipada santutasha svat tatra tatra jagat guru, bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhavadarshanam. That and she was a great personality about 5,000 years ago, the mother of Arjuna, who we're hearing from right now, or we're hearing speak to Krishna. She's praying for so many calamities to befall her, because as these calamities happen again and again, she recognizes them as an opportunity to see Krishna again and again. So anyway, Prahlad was a great example of that same kind of, having that same realization that actually no material designation can touch me, whether it's pleasure or pain, happiness or distress. These situations he was put into time and time again, they only drew his heart closer to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And one time, through his years, as he, this was a little bit later on, past time of Prahlad, he was walking on pilgrimage to Naimisharanya to go see Lord Narayan, who was his worshipful Lord. And he's on his way to Naimisharanya, a great place of pilgrimage. And another name for Lord Narayan is, Lord Nrsimhadev is, he's one of the Dasha avatars, of which is, he is Lord Narayan, actually. And then Lord Pitavasa is actually another name for Lord Narayan. So he was on his way to see Lord Pitavasa, and he comes across this Brahmana. Brahmana is like, what he did is he came across someone of the renounced order. But, and this was very evident given how they were dressed in like a loincloth, like a sage typically would be. But what disturbed the mind of Prahlad is that this sage actually had a bow and arrow, which is the sign of a kshatriya, a warrior, someone outside of the class of how this man appeared to be. So there appeared to be a contradiction with this personality that he had crossed. And he felt, as being a great administrator himself, great king, set to uphold the laws of Dharma, he took it upon himself. He made the vow that actually I will defeat you in combat. I will reinstate religious principles, and I will defeat you. So he engaged in like a long battle with this random sage with a bow and arrow that he had met in the forest. Long battle, and he couldn't beat him. Until one morning, while he was preparing to fight, he sat down to worship his deity, Lord Narayan. And as he was dressing his deity and washing him, he put on the deity's clothes, and then he realized the clothes were gone. And he looked over to his opponent, who was like outside his tent, also preparing for battle. He saw that the very dress that he had just put on his deity was now on this Brahmin Kshatriya that he had been fighting this whole time. So it was at that moment that he realized, whoa, I've actually been fighting the personality of Godhead. My worshipful Lord has been right here in front of me, and I couldn't recognize him, but here I am. I've been fighting with him. So of course, in realizing that he's been fighting with God, he bows at his feet, offers his incredible prayers that are so purifying for us to hear. And then he asks, realizing that he's put himself in a predicament. It's by Kshatriyas are very, they're upholders of their vow. And if they fail to uphold their vows, and they often go to great lengths to pay for that. For example, Arjuna, he once vowed to find some Brahmin sons, and that if he couldn't find the Brahmin sons, then he would enter fire. Right? So this is like the Kshatriyas, like he's bound by his word. His word is as good as his bond. And Prahlad, understanding that he'd been fighting with the Lord this whole time, could no longer fight with him anymore. He just wanted to serve him, just to submit himself at his feet. So he asked the Lord, he said, well, what I made a vow to conquer you in battle, and now I'm understanding that I can't do that. Even if I if I had the determination to continue fighting you, you're still you. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which all strength comes from. You give me my strength. How can I overpower you? And the Lord said, actually, through your love and devotion, through your prayers, through your sincere approach to me, you've actually already conquered me. So this is the only way to conquer the Lord, is through bhakti, is through devotion. And this brings us to perfection in its highest sense. So I'll end it there. If anyone had comment or question. No. Okay. We'll stop there. Thank you for patiently hearing. Thank you for tolerating. And yeah. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to some of the devotees. Hare Krishna.